What makes this property so unique in Florida is the topography. Everybody talks about Augusta National when they go there for the first time. They can't believe the topography and the roll and the elevation changes that exist in it. And I think that's going to be the same reaction here, is that people are going to look at this property and go, I can't believe I'm in Florida. And so to have that character, there's a lot of sand in Florida. There may not be as much sand in Florida as what we've got underneath us here, which will add tremendously to the character, the bounce, the roll, the fun playability that we're after. So I think ultimately that topography is what will make it unique. I can't think of another. I think there are golf courses that maybe have segments of citrus production, orange groves in them, but I can't think of any that have the amount and the scale of what we've got here. So the combination of these big rolling landforms, some of these amazing long vistas, and then some of the feeling of being actually contained within an orange grove, there's nowhere else like it in the world.
It's really been interesting to watch this golf course being built, and I'm thinking now a lot about the day in the life and the entire experience when you play the golf course, but really the hang. What is it going to be like when you come here, when you tie the golf course to the experience in and around the clubhouse?
Well, I think that's a critical component of all these destination places, right? I mean, you're here on property. You need to have obviously great golf, which we are hopeful we're going to accomplish. We feel pretty good about where we're headed on that. And then you also need all the amenities and the sense of place and sort of what makes this unique, what makes you feel excited to be out here. And from everything I've seen, the plans and the lodging, the clubhouse, I've heard a lot of fun ideas about how we can put oranges into ice cream and drinks and food. And I think there's going to be a unique component to High Grove in that regard. But I think everything about the place is obviously going to be focused around golf. And we've worked hard within the golf experience to create different opportunities for you, right? 36 holes. It's a lot of golf in a day for some of us. And so I think we have the opportunity here. You play the big 18. There'll be a short course component that you'll be able to go out and play and have fun on that, which that will be primarily focused on fun, but still great golf holes. Right. But then the routing itself lends itself to, the 6th hole comes back to the clubhouse area. The 9th hole comes back to the clubhouse area. The 12th hole is close, certainly within walking distance. Then obviously 18 is right there. So you've got all these little segments of the golf course that if 36 is too much, you can play a smaller segment of the course. So I think from that standpoint, we've built in the golf component. And I think the quality with what Ryan's doing and with the team, having yourself involved here, I have no doubts at all that the experience of the hang is going to be world class.
Yeah, and we have the Himalayas green that'll be right behind 6 and 9. And that too ties into that experience. You're going to come off the 6th green or the 9th green. You're going to run into people. You're going to make connections while you're here. And that's a big part of, getting away and having a good time, meeting some new people and spending time with your best friends.
Yeah, I think that feels like it will happen organically here. I think the way the membership is coming together, there's going to be a lot of people who love the game of golf. If you love the game of golf, you're in a setting like this, I think it's going to be easy to make those connections. I also think the beauty and just the unique nature of this site. I mean, some people may not be getting up early because of what happened the night before, but you might also, the sunrises here looking out from in that direction are going to be incredible. The sunsets are beautiful. So I think you have this opportunity to be in this amazing spot outdoors. The weather we know is going to be terrific. So I think all of those things added together are going to give this place, that unique quality and that really special spot. So the design philosophy that Jim and I bring to all of our projects is ultimately to maximize the natural potential of the site. And here at High Grove, there was a ton of potential. In fact, there was almost too much. We had so many choices in how we went about the routing and where we thought the best golf holes would be and ultimately where we thought the best clubhouse location would be. So it was a joy to try and figure out how to maximize the potential of this site. And then once we figured out composition of the golf holes and where they would sit, it became more of an exercise in, okay, now what do we do to create the variety and the features? So we've got some big greens, we've got some small greens, all the stuff that you would normally think about. But I think some of the context that we go into in a little bit deeper fashion, and Jim and I think about these things is, how do the greens connect to the landforms, and do they sometimes not connect? And I think we've tried out here to have the basic premise of every golf hole be sound strategically, but then the variety and the way the features are set up and the way they're presented to the golfers be very different. Hard to have quote unquote vision because this property is so unique, right? I mean, there's nothing like it in Florida. There's nothing I can think of that has this sort of character and this topography. But as far as the vision has evolved, I couldn't be more excited about it. I mean, what Jim and Neil and the boys have been working on, I think is really turning out great. And I think one of the big aspects of what we've tried to accomplish here is scale, right? Because the scale of this place is unmatched. Maybe not even just in Florida, but anywhere in the golf world. And when you've got this sort of open opportunity, how do you create features that ultimately match that scale? And so we've got these sort of big sandy areas out here that I think will transform the site. And then as we get in, when the trees start to come in from an orchard perspective, we're going to pinch that scale a little bit. So how do we have this, the ability to have multiple characteristics of the site? And I think ultimately the fall, the rise, the way the entire thing flows, and then the confinement of the groves, I think is going to be a really nice juxtaposition. And I think ultimately will create some interesting golf holes. And I really couldn't be more excited.
I think the terrain too, as I was walking around some of the holes yesterday, the terrain is going to be a lot of fun. And I think you're going to see some balls released down hillsides more than you would see in other courses, and certainly in this area. But that space and working in, down towards the groves and things like that, I think that's going to be really exciting. I also think the walk is going to be incredible because you're climbing hills, walking down hills. You could kind of see the elevation changes, which should be a lot of fun for the golfers.
Yeah, and Jim and Neil and I were just literally talking about that on the 14th tee, about how in Florida in particular, you don't get that opportunity. And we are obviously, you're always influenced by Augusta when you watch the Masters. And so we're talking about how there are some characteristics of Augusta National here, which to say that in Florida, we think it would be hyperbole, but it's the reality, especially when you get on that back nine. And so I think it's always been part of our plan to try and build golf courses where the members ultimately learn them and figure them out over a period of time instead of being, okay, I've got this all figured out. And I think the topography and the contour and where you hit shots and where the ball ultimately gets to will be a critical piece of the puzzle here.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of risk and reward too. If a longer hitter tries to take something on, the ball may release and go a long ways away from where they're trying to go if they hit it offline.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that you and I obviously spend a lot of time in the Philadelphia region and in the Northeast, and we see all these great classic courses up there. And I think what we're trying to do here is transplant some of those characteristics and thoughts onto a truly unique piece of property. And I think it's going to be a great fit. Yeah. And so we've talked about the positioning of the trees and can we utilize on a couple holes, and we started with number 10, utilize that straight line as almost like a boundary on the hole and have, you've got all these organic flowing forms, but occasionally it would be nice to take the linear nature of the groves and bring that into the golf course, and how can we play off of that? So that's something we've never done before because we've never had the opportunity, but I think it'll be a unique characteristic of this course. And it changes, right? I mean, you're going to get orange blossoms pretty soon, and then you've got the fruit, and then you've got the harvest, and so it's every time you come here, you're going to see that progression in the citrus itself. So it'll be a different feeling as you play the golf course. And I think that adds, I think it's going to add a tremendous amount.
The experience for the members is going to be hard, fast, and firm. It's going to be amazing out there. Topography of the golf course is one of a kind for me. And that's coming from working at Seminole in the past and being a part of the park in West Palm. The topography at those two golf courses were amazing. Being here is like it's a different level, believe it or not.
Well, Jim and I worked really hard on this routing because the land is so good that you could have gone any direction. I mean, there were golf holes everywhere you look out here, and so it became what's the sequence feel like? How do we ultimately tackle some of that lower section of the property, and then what is that exclamation point at the end? And I think getting 18 kind of out on the edge of the ridge, having the tee elevated, which obviously you're looking down the 18th hole, but all you have to do is turn out to the left and you look into the lower part of the golf course. And I think that that is the exclamation point on the topography and how high that sits up there and how it ultimately flows down and then back up to the green. So I think we tried hard to figure out how to maximize all the aspects of this property. Amazingly wonderful natural piece of ground, strategic, thoughtful design that's based not only on golf features but on the topography of the site. Throw in a little bit of wind, throw in a lot of beauty, and throw in orange groves, which adds the unique character to it. We couldn't be more excited about what's happening here at Highgrove.